We are Westsiders. Do I have a treat for you today? So I ran into an old friend from the West Side on my way back to Seattle, Eric Davis, as some of you may know him.
How you
Uh,
guys doing?
Eric. And and one of the things we talked about is since he's a photographer and does good stuff, is like we should do a little Google Hangouts about the West Side, just kind of say hello, mess around with this new technology, and showcase some of his photos of the West Side. We got 3 photos from Eric that we're going to look at and discuss. One of them apparently is not working at this point, so we have 2 for sure, I believe, and then after that, we'll see what happens. But at this point, just like my name is Tim Rogers. I've lived all over the West Side growing up. It was a big fart of my youth, big part of my youth, and loved the place. And even though I travel all over the place, it's always good to come home. And it's always a pleasure running into old West Siders. We had a great time. Eric and I. He hosted me while I was waiting for my plane to go to Seattle, and on the way to Grand Rapids this recently, and then on the way back. And so we started wrestling around with these new technologies. There, we got set up and said we should try to do some kind of formalized broadcast. This is the kind of stuff that I want to do, not only for my own fun thing, but to actually use this stuff in interesting ways. So what I'm going to do is try to I'm going to let Eric tell you a little bit about what he's up to these days and what he's thinking about this project, and let's see where it goes. So I'm going to switch it over to Eric.
Hey. Good morning. This is Eric P. Davis calling from Chicago, Illinois. I moved here about 14 years ago with my then girlfriend and now wife, and currently work at the Chicago Tribune as a image technician. It's kind of like 20 years ago, I guess it'd be a darkroom technician. Now it's since everything's digitized and on computer and Photoshop and everything, it's all computer tech, image technician now. That would be the title. So that's basically what I do here. I was a freelance photographer for about the first 10 years here in the city. My work has been shown in both the Sun-Times and the Tribune, and mostly in the suburban papers for the Sun-Times. I've also lived in Richmond, Virginia, where I shot for the Times-Dispatch. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Times-Dispatch, and in Moline, Illinois, for the Dispatch-Argus. That's where I get a little confused. Too many dispatches. It's been a great ride so far. The adventure continues. And you wanted to talk about these photos, Tim?
Yeah, let me see if I can get one working here. I believe if I click on Eric Davis 1, looks like we got one to work. So start with telling us a little bit about when you took this and what inspired it, and we'll go from there.
Which one is it? I can't quite see it on your end.
Okay, let's see here. We have it's the one of the click.
Ah, yes, the click. That was one of the few. Was it one of 3 two-story bowling alleys left in Michigan, if not the country? I don't know of any other ones in the whole United States. There's the Click, Wingers, and was it Holland Bowl, I think? They have like a second floor with bowling on it as well. It's an old institution on the West Side, of course. I remember going there, I think, with Cub Scouts first, and then with the safety patrol group from Sibley School when I was in the 5th grade. And it's pretty smoke filled on the inside. You got the old timers there doing their leagues and everything. And I think I was with the Cub Scouts one time when we were bowling there, when I picked a ball that was a little bit too small for my fingers, and it stuck to my hand as I released it with all my force, going for that with all of my force, going for that strike, and dragged me down the gutter, and didn't realize that they kept the gutters kind of oiled. It got all this grease all over my hands and knees.
Hey, how old were you at that time?
Cub Scout, so I was 8 or 9 maybe.
Internet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think I was 9 years old. That was my second year in the Scouts. So after that, I think I left. I can't remember why. Just moved on, I guess.
Cool. I remember the click. I didn't know that it's rare to have it be in two levels. But
Yeah, I'll have to Google it and figure out, how many are left. Like I know for sure Wingers is still open. I drove by it on my way out of town a week or so ago, and I don't know about Holland Bowl.
yeah. Well, I remember I used to be big into arcade video games, and I remember the click had a few that I liked, and I'd go in there and play that. I was more into video games than I was bowling.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't bowled many times, but across the street at the old Pizza Queen, I think was where I first played Space Invaders. It was a tabletop version. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I played a lot there too. The Pizza Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then they got that. What was that video game where you had the ball and you had to try and shoot the missiles out of the sky before a nuclear holocaust struck your city?
oh yeah. Yeah.
Not Cabal, but
Oh, I forgot the name of that one. But
yeah, very rudimentary or very elementary, I should say, graphics for the time.
yeah, and it's pretty depressing. You have all these kids that already grew up in the Cold War and worried about nuclear annihilation, and the whole game is about you know how do you knock these missiles out of the air and and save your city.
Exactly,
It's pretty
exactly. I remember
difficult.
the whole countdown with Ronald Reagan and everything, like building up the arms race until you know you're like, what the hell's going on? Are we going to do this or what?
And these video games have a big impact on kids' psychologies, I guess. But yeah, that was something else. Well, going back to the click, I remember actually getting to see how things worked in the back there because Ed Smeagol was what do they call it, pin monkey.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
set all those up, and I remember him hanging out the back one day when I was walking by, and he brought me in there a little bit, to give a peek in case one of them. One of those pins got out of whack, he would be in there to fix it. So it was fun to kind of see firsthand um, kind of how that whole system worked behind the scenes there. So
Yeah. There's actually they're automated now at the Click. I think they have been ever since I can remember. But there is actually a bowling alley here in Chicago called Southport Lanes, and what it is, it's an old Schlitz tap house, and it actually has, I think, 5 or 6 lanes where they have the guys that physically set the pins for you.
oh, nice.
I've always been wanted to like go over there and take photographs of them doing their plying their craft, I guess you would say, their trade.
Right. I think the automated ones they work pretty well, but there's always situations because when you're hitting those pins, they're going everywhere.
Oh
And
yeah,
they
yeah,
get stuck somewhere that needs human interaction.
yep.
Okay. Well, cool. There's the bowling. Let's see what else if we can get another image on here. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the one of the shot of down Bridge Street there with the was it the train tower?
Oh yeah, yeah. That one's been there forever. I remember when there used to be a little guy that would sit in there. I don't know if what his job was to radio ahead for someone to throw a switch or something, but that thing's been there forever. You know. That's right. You can't see it, but right to the left of that is Elsinboro, of course.
All right. Yeah.
And then down in the back, I don't know how well you can see, but just past the train signals, there's a sign for the old Red Lion. It's like almost
Oh,
like,
I see. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, center right.
yeah. Rudy Malmquist has a great photo of a lot of people take photos of that sign, but there's a particular photo that from him that I'm thinking of is that had a really great angle.
Who? What's his name?
Rudy Malmquist. I don't know if you know Rudy.
No, I don't think I do.
He went to school with us at Union, but he's a really good photographer too,
Oh, nice.
as well. So
Yeah.
Um, well, I was hoping that there would be a third one on here, and this is our sort of a inaugural. um, let's do a hangout and talk about photography in the West Side. So let's just like keep it at that for now.
Still
And
working out the
uh,
kinks.
still working out the kinks.